that the medical records gals give to you, but also when you're describing the wound in nurse's notes, when you change a dressing or when you're doing a wound assessment. In this particular instance, we had several different locations on the same area. One said right ankle, one said right heel, one said right foot. So in this case, she had two different spots on her right foot, which totally confused the surveyors, confused me. And so essentially what happened is the doctor found the pressure ulcer on her right heel when we were all thinking, oh no, we need you to see the blister on the right foot. Amanda was in there with the doctor rounding, and she's assuming that the nurses know about this right heel, but really we didn't see it until Monday morning when we went in and he said, come look at her heels. And we did the assessment that day. So you got the 18th, the 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd before we did our assessment. And then we sent it to the wound clinic the next day, thankfully. Showed that we were following through and making sure that it potentially could have been, and the doctor said it was a stage 3. And any stage 3 or 4 needs to go to the wound clinic. Okay, so that one was just, this one I almost expected us to get something on, but I did not expect us to get dinged on an untimely assessment, really. This one really could have been a lot worse. We could have gotten a tag on care-related issues because of the pressure ulcer happened here. It didn't happen at the hospital and she didn't come with it. It happened here. And that's a big problem. So that's why it's so important to make sure that if the resident's refusing to use heel boots, or if the resident I don't know, is refusing measures, we need to document that kind of thing in the nurse's notes. Nurse's aides, if that happens with you frequently, where the resident is refusing your care, make sure the nurse knows so that we can get that stuff documented. That's what would save us in a potential situation where we have a resident that develops a pressure ulcer here. We need to show we've got it in the care plan, we're trying our best to get this healed, but the resident's not compliant. So we need to show that what we're doing. Got to file policy. There is the policy in here. Something else that was not happening is that the nurses, and I think that there's been a lot of questions about this lately, about staging. It is the responsibility of the nurse to stage the pressure ulcer initially. When you find it, you stage it. If you don't know how to stage it, we'll do another in-service, but it is written in the policy. It gives a description of what the stage is and what the definition of that stage is in the policy. So you do your assessment, it's closed in pink, you stage it at a 1. But you have to make sure you put it on AOD report, nurses. The very bottom left-hand corner, there's a spot that says stage, and then you select the appropriate number. Okay? We weren't following policy there either, in many instances, not just Mrs. Corey's heel ulcer, but in many instances. So what we've done to help remedy this problem, to help prevent this type of thing from happening again, is the skin committee has been reconvened, and Angie and Jean, myself, Marcia, and Amanda are all part of this meeting. You're getting skin reports from me every week that shows what our recommendations are, just kind of like the behavior meeting minutes that I send you at the falls. We're doing the same thing for skins again. I let that slide a long time ago because things were going so well, and I was just kind of tallying to make sure that the assessments were being done, and obviously there was a downfall on my part too because I missed the April 15th skin assessment too on Mrs. Corey. If I had seen that, then, you know, really on the 18th, if we could have done an assessment on the 18th, or on the 15th, we would have got that before doctor came in. So, skin committee will reconvene. We're doing that every week on Wednesday mornings now, so you'll be getting those reports. I am checking to make sure that the skin assessments have been done, okay? That there's no break. I mean, every week. We've got to do those skin assessments every week. Also making sure that the treatment's appropriate, and there's not been longer than a 2-week time frame before there's been improvement. If it's been longer than 2 weeks, I'm going to suggest a change in treatment. And what that means is you're just going to call the doctor or notify the doctor and say, hey, it's been longer than 2 weeks, this wound is not improving, would you suggest an alternate wound treatment? And it's up to them to say yes or no. But at least we've done our part to notify the physician that we needed possibly a change in treatment. But I do expect you to follow through those recommendations. And then what else am I checking? Timeliness, treatment. Oh, staging. I want to make sure we're staging our pressure ulcers, so I'll be checking those closely too. Rounding nurse with Amanda. She will review findings with the floor nurse after the MD rounds weekly to ensure nurses are knowledgeable of the findings and the suggestions. That would have prevented our late assessment on Mrs. Corey. So Amanda can stop by and talk to the nurse and say, hey, doctor saw this ulcer on the heel, he staged it at a 3, and you're looking at her like, what? Stage 3? You didn't look at the blister, right? And maybe we would have caught that. Okay.
Hey, Amy. Also,
Yes.
I think in the skin assessment and AOD, if people could be more specific when
Yes.
there's so many, there's 4 pages to that, there's a nurse's note page, there's so many different things that you can fill in on that, I think that would help. When I was doing them, when I was working Mondays and doing them every week, sometimes it was hard to know what people were talking about or
Yes.
what, so.
That's right. In the description even,
Right.
in your skin report. I mean, I know that the menu, the drop-down menu only gives you certain areas. It says right foot or right heel, or it doesn't specifically
Right, like the
say-
abdomen is just mid-abdomen or
right.
something.
But in the description part of your assessment form, you can type in specifically left lower quadrant of abdomen. That way, that everybody that assesses that person's going to know where are they talking about.
Yeah, and it has a spot on there for notifying, did you notify the doctor,
Yep.
did you notify the
That's
family?
on the last page, I think.
I think it's,
additional
yeah,
information.
somewhere around there.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's very important to not leave out that information, especially if it's a new spot. Okay. So we covered, we got 2 more. F325 and F9999. This one was more of a dietary problem. What happened was we had not just one, but lots of residents who had, the dietitian came in, made her recommendation. Maybe they had a weight loss, or maybe they had a low BMI, or maybe they had a wound. And so the dietitian would make a recommendation that, hey, this person, we would like to have this person on MedPass 3 times a day, whatever. Those recommendations didn't get followed up on. Now, where the breakdown happened, I don't really know. I know that the dietitian should be giving those recommendations to the CDM, which is Marcia. Marcia then gives those recommendations to the nurse, and then the nurse notifies the physician to make sure that he knows about it, or she knows about it, and we get possibly an order for the MedPass if that's what they want. And then the dietitian should be following up to make sure that her recommendations that she wrote were done. Well, one, we discovered that she wasn't doing that. She was not following up to make sure the recommendations were being done. Another thing that we found was that I think Marcia happened to be off a week or something for vacation, and she deserves that, but there was nobody in her place to stand in to make sure that those recommendations kept going to the nurse. So, to remedy this problem, Marcia will have a backup, whether that be another dietary manager or somebody, whether that be Di or Marcia, Mary Jo. They can make sure that the paperwork that the dietitian sends will get to the nurse timely. And then what we can do as the nurses is, if you fax that information to, or sent that information to the doctor, document in the nurse's notes that dietitian recommendations were received and notified physician. That way there was some clue to the surveyor that says, oh, well, yeah, nursing got it. They notified the physician. Again, I couldn't find anything in the documentation that would support that we notified the physician on any of those. That's why we got the state tag, because Marianne Cottrell was one of them. that this happened on, and then there were 3 others on Mediterranean. And then the very last head.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Me and Andrew, full questions.
That's okay.
Last night, they did the recommendations, and I think they've been doing them on like all on one big sheet.
That's the track